A winning culture is something that's really important to me. I want to create a culture where we will mention Omaha daily.
In June of 2016, cell phones began going off all over the country. A first-year head coach was reaching out to his new ball club.
My first phone call with Coach Minge was, I was back home in Gahanna, and he called and just wanted to introduce himself.
I was on the way back home from a summer ball game with my mom, and an unknown caller was calling me, and my mom goes, "You might want to answer that. That might be your new coach."
I was buying some snacks for a road trip for a summer ball game, and he called me. Said, "I'm Coach Minge. I'm your new head coach."
I wanted him to know how excited I was, right? Like, who doesn't want to hear that? You know what I mean? And then number two, I just wanted him to know that everything was going to be okay.
Nick Mingione immediately set the tone for the Kentucky baseball program.
The energy he had in his voice, you could tell he was a great recruiter previously because the energy he brought, and he's just an easy guy to talk to.
Over the phone, he sounded really energetic. He was really positive, and it was something. It was a conversation that was like really easy.
He sounded like a young guy who really wanted to get after it and had a lot of high energy and infused a lot of the energy in me. And I was like, oh, I'm ready to go. Let's do this.
And introduced the head baseball coach at the University of Kentucky, Nick Mingione. Nick, congrats, man.
He was introduced to the Big Blue Nation on June 15th, 2016. His players soon learned that the voice they had heard on the phone belonged to one of the most energetic coaches in college baseball.
My first meeting with him person to person was awesome too. It was the same guy I talked to over the phone, no difference.
I gotta find out about my guys. Where are you? Who are you?
At first, I thought it was kind of for show, like a kind of thing that, first impressions kind of deal. So I thought he was like coming off as, just trying to be nice, trying to be a good guy. But, he's been the same way from the first day up until now. So
good job,
nothing's really changed. He's the same great guy that he's always been.
Through the years, Wildcat baseball has had its moments.
And the Cats have won the SEC championship.
In fact, Nick Mingione was an assistant coach on the 2006 SEC championship team. But to make it happen consistently, something had to change.
What we were looking for was someone that would possibly transform the culture of our locker room.
We wanted to win, and because that's something my class has never done, and the senior class has been to one regional. My junior class hasn't been to a single regional.
We want to be different. We don't want to be the same team that kind of finishes, in the middle of the league. We want to finish at the top, and we want to show everybody that Kentucky can play baseball.
They all bought in, and I love the fact when I heard him talk about he loves on them. He pats them on the butt, but he also gets on them. And so it's kind of love, not a hate relationship, but he's firm with them, but he loves on them too. And I think they've bought into a new coach that came in. They really sold the program to the kids, and the kids really adapted well.
Something else was different about this new coach. There was a word he kept using every day: Omaha, site of the College World Series.
We're at the University of Kentucky. We play in the Southeastern Conference. Why can't we make it to Omaha? We're the University of Kentucky. We play in the greatest league in America.
Coach has been saying Omaha since day one. Since the day he was hired, he's been telling us Omaha.
And then when we get to Omaha, it'll be the same. It would just say, then we're not done yet because we're trying to win the national championship, but this happens to be the step.
He's also been telling us that we're going to try and do things with this program that have never been done before.
In the group meet, he always puts Omaha at the end of his whatever paragraph he's writing. And, I've never really thought about Omaha last year. I never thought it was a feasible thing for us to do, but the more that we keep talking about it, the more attainable it seems to be.
It was kind of eye-opening, like, you know what, yeah, why aren't we talking about that? We can do that. We have a really good team. We have a really good coaching staff. We can do that.
We sent our guys a group me message, and the hashtag, the very first one they ever got was Omaha 2017. I've never seen them play. I've talked to him maybe one time on the phone, but that's our goal.
When he called me, he said that's his goal. We're gonna go to Omaha. We're gonna have the best season of our lives, and we're gonna take care of business. And I just believed in him. It's kind of hard not to believe in him.
When Coach Minge came in, he mentioned it from day one. He's saying Omaha, and right then and there, I knew it was gonna be a special year.
I didn't have to see him play. I just knew if we created the right culture, our guys bought in, and it takes time. There's some guys, let's be honest, they thought I was crazy even during the season. It finally hit them. But it takes time. But as long as I'm the head coach here, that will always be the on-the-field goal.
When the season began, the results were the same as they had been in the past. Or so it seemed.
Tar Heels win it, they get the sweep.
The Wildcats dropped a 3-game series in Chapel Hill, and then another game at Liberty.
We played North Carolina, who's a top 10 team, preseason. We played them really well. We had really close games, and it would have been easy for us to make excuses and get frustrated for losing 3 games. But I think we as a team took all the positives from it, and we learned from it, and it built our momentum going forward.
We kind of got it that we're a real team. I think we understood then that we're gonna be just fine.
He sits us down in the dugout after a series sweep, and it's not the best feeling in the world. And when he sits down and looks every one of your players in the eye and he says, guys, we're good. He said, we're good. I know we lost, but we are good, and we will win a lot of baseball games here.
I knew that we had a team that was ultra competitive, and they were not gonna back down.
We lost the first game by 2 runs, and then we lost the next 2 games by 1 run. And we were right in there to the very last pitch in each and every game. And at that point in time, I knew, we weren't going to let our season slide after 3 games.
Found out that we had a team that cared. And when I say team, I'm talking about everyone. I'm talking about our staff. I'm talking about our student managers. I'm talking about our team.
After the first 4 losses, they were close games, like you said. We played some good baseball. It was like, we gotta get win number 1 out of the way. So after we did that, like I said, we was able to calm down a little bit.
The Cats did calm down, and then exploded.
Looking up, and that ball is out of here.
Ripping off 21 victories in 24 games.
That ball is absolutely crushed.
Including a sweep of then 23rd ranked UC Santa Barbara, which had won its way to the College World Series the year before.
We've been playing baseball here for 121 years. We have never swept a non-conference ranked opponent in the history of our program. We've been playing baseball for 121 years. That's never happened. So for us to tell them, hey, this season's gonna be about doing things that have never been done before, that was one of the first major things that ever happened to our baseball program that's never been done before.
We went into that weekend with the utmost confidence in the world, thinking that, we are the better team and we can sweep this team and we can win and we can continue to win.
We put together 27 really, really good innings. And to be able to sit back and just kind of realize, that we are really good. And that series was a huge confidence boost, not only for our offense, but our pitching staff as well.
After that 0-4 start and then sweeping those guys at home, I think was for a lot of guys, when as a team we started to realize that we're a legitimate contender to do special things this year. And I think from that point on, we just never looked back.
We are clearly not buying into the old mindset. So we have changed a little bit of our mindset, and we're growing this thing. So that was encouraging to me, and I thought that was a real important weekend series. That was where I felt like I knew we were different.
The Cats were piling up hits and runs at a record pace. And then they shocked all of college baseball when they opened SEC play at Texas A&M, another team that had made the College World Series the year before, one that had to replace some key veterans.
If there was ever a time to play Texas A&M, it was going to be early in the year, and here's why. They had lost so many guys off last year's team. That team they had was unbelievable. And I basically told our staff, if we ever play Texas A&M, we want to play them right now, because by the time they get to the end of the season, all those guys are going to have experience that hadn't had it.
And he was right. Taking on a team that eventually made it back to Omaha, the Wildcats swept the Aggies in College Station.
Kentucky sweeps the weekend on the road to start SEC play.
So obviously, first weekend when they swept, went to Texas A&M and swept, you knew Kentucky was real at that point. I didn't realize the offense was going to be as good as it was. Tristan Pompey ended up turning to an absolute animal.
Well, I heard a lot of big things about College Station, about how their crowd is crazy and how they're a good team, obviously. but you know, we're road warriors, as Coach Mins likes to say.
And that is a no doubt home run.
I like being on the road sometimes. You know, I like silencing the crowd a little bit. It kind of feels good to me knowing that, you know, when you have a big hit, a big run, and you just hear the crowd just silence, you know, that pumps me up.
You have your 9-hole guy, you know, putting up some bombs that
That is gone.
it takes a lot of pressure off the top of the lineup, and you got guys at the bottom of the order hitting 300, and it's like, wow, we're just rolling that. The lineup, there's really no weak spot in our lineup. It's just 1 through 9 is just unbelievable.
The Wildcat pitching was unbelievable as well.
And Sean Jelly stands tall on Friday night.
As sophomore Sean Jelly set the tone on Friday night, firing a complete game shutout victory.
For me, going in opening weekend the SEC on the road in a very tough environment to an A&M team that rarely loses at home, I just knew that if I did my job as a pitcher and just kept my team in a position to win, then they were going to take care of the rest.
Love Sean Jelly. He's one of my favorite guys ever. 6'11", the athletic ability that he has, SEC Pitcher of the Year. At 6'11", the way he moves his feet, the pickoff moves, and the ability, of course, to come from a high level and pitch down the strike zone, he's really special.
You can definitely tell when he's locked in, you know, like he's into it. Whenever he strikes someone out, he's fired up, he's fist pumping, he's screaming. When he's locked in, he's probably the best pitcher in the country that I've ever seen.
That was when our offense really started to hit its stride and started to get a lot of national recognition for being one of the best offenses in the nation.
When opportunity knocks, Kentucky hasn't wasted a single chance.
You know what? We look up and we sweep them. And I think if you were to ask a lot of our guys, I believe in my heart they would tell you at that moment, they finally realized how good we were.
By now, the rest of the country was beginning to realize it as well. The Wildcats kept climbing in the polls, punishing teams with their high-octane offense. Every hitter in the lineup was a threat.
One thing that we talk about all the time is the strength of our team is our team. So, you know, if someone's having a bad day, you know, the guy behind you is going to pick him up. The guy in front of you is going to pick you up. It's just really cool to be a part of that. And, you know, if you don't get the job done, knowing that someone else behind you is going to get it done.
For us, I think that was kind of like we belong here. We deserve everything we've gotten to this point. We've earned it all.
They took conference series at home from Vandy and Ole Miss. And before a record crowd on a Tuesday night, the Wildcats avenged an earlier loss to the Louisville Cardinals, turning the school's first triple play in the process.
Reks will make the grab. McKay tags. Here he comes to the plate. The throw comes through, and he's going to be tagged out. They'll go to third. The tag there. Out. How about that? A triple play.
Coach Bellinger and I, you know, are hitting each other and we're all excited, and then I just like, this is unbelievable. We just turned a triple play. And it took me a little while to realize it, but the joy on our guys' faces and the way they were bouncing around was just awesome and fun to watch.
Confidence was growing, and so were the victories. More series wins, at home against LSU.
A grand slam for Luke Becker.
And on the road at Missouri.
One pitch, one run on a goner.
And South Carolina, where veteran reliever Logan Salo closed out the Sunday win with 4 2/3 innings of shutout relief, striking out 10 Gamecocks.
We're beating, you know, quality opponents and top-ranked teams and historic programs, and it's just like, guys, we belong here. Guys, we can win in the SEC, and we can be the #1 team in the SEC. And we don't need to stop in the SEC. We need to be the #1 team in the nation. That's our goal. That's our goal, is to win the national championship.
After starting conference play 4-0 for the first time in school history, the Wildcats kept picking off opponents. They were battling for an SEC championship.
I love the saying that confidence comes from skill acquisition. And our team just started getting more and more confident and started realizing, like, hey, we're just as good, if not better than anyone, although I've been trying to tell them that the whole year. But until you go out and prove it yourself and see it, it's harder to believe, and to their credit, they did that.
The Cats came up short in their quest for SEC League and tournament titles. But then they set their sights on an even bigger target, the NCAA tournament.
This is the most important time of the year. It's the most fun time of the year, and you guys are going to do something that's never ever been done. And I cannot wait to be a part of it and be right in the middle of it with you guys. It's gonna what? Happen. Yeah, it's happening.
For the first time in 11 years, Cliff Hagan Stadium was transformed into a regional tournament site.
Having been there in 06, I remember how much it affected our team. And I remember thinking from day one that we were going to come here and that was going to be the case. We were going to do this. Like, I had this vision of this happening.
I knew what they did in 06, you know. I've been a Kentucky fan for a long time, so 06 was something that I remembered. And, you know, being able to come out here and see the bleachers, it was really cool, you know. Sitting in front of these bleachers and seeing what they put together for us, and, you know, it's really special.
Being able to come in here and see the new bleachers and just see how the Cliff is transformed, it's just really cool, and it just kind of adds meaning to how special it is, what we're doing here and what we're trying to do.
Not knowing if there would be enough people to even fill those seats, that was going in the back of my brain. But at the same time, it's like, I was just like, please, Lord, fill these seats with people because I want this for these guys. And to the Big Blue Nation's credit, they showed up and they were there.
Really proud of you guys, man. You guys have earned this. I want you guys to have the time of your life.
The Wildcats were playing for the first regional championship in UK baseball history, and they had to do it the hard way.
Line back up the middle, and that's into center field for a base hit. They'll wave wide around third. Evans sliding in to score the third run for the Wildcats.
They opened with a victory over Ohio, another first. Kentucky had never won a regional opener. But then they dropped a 5-4 decision to North Carolina State, which meant they would have to play their way through the losers bracket. A loss would end their season.
It's never easy. It's never easy. So tomorrow we're going to do something that's never been done before. That's all we've been shot out to do all season, and you know what? We get another opportunity tomorrow. We get another opportunity tomorrow.
Nick Mingione could have predicted the dramatic finish. He had seen it before. Nearly every fall scrimmage the Wildcats played had come down to the last at-bat. It almost had to happen this way.
We had over 20-something scrimmages throughout the fall. Every single one but one came down to the last inning. It was just so obvious that we were going to have to battle back and again do something that's never been done before. And to their credit, they did it.
They did it by outlasting Indiana, as Riley Mahan blasted a grand slam home run for the Wildcats.
And Kentucky has cracked this one wide open.
Later that day, Kentucky played its way into the championship game with a win over NC State, as senior Logan Salo spun 2 2/3 innings of perfect relief against the Wolfpack.
Kentucky lives to see Monday.
The Cats would play for a championship the next night.
There's a chance we may get some weather. If that happens, we'll just say good. So if there's a delay, we'll say good.
Only they would have to wait on Mother Nature. Violent thunderstorms slammed central Kentucky just before game time. Lightning forced UK athletic officials to clear the stadium, and what looked to be a record crowd disappeared into the night. 2 hours later, the rain ended and the fans came back.
Ultimately, we needed our fans to be at their very best and create a home field advantage. And it was the best baseball atmosphere we've ever had in the history of Cliff Hagan Stadium.
Twice, the Wildcats fell behind the Wolfpack, and twice they rallied. The biggest hit of the season,
Here's Cole Cottom.
the biggest in UK baseball history, came in the top of the 7th. A 2-run double by Cole Cottom that broke a 5-5 tie and gave Kentucky the lead for good.
Kentucky 7, NC State 5.
In the bottom of the 7th, after the traditional stadium rendition of Sweet Caroline, the Big Blue Nation kept right on singing, as NC State tried to mount a rally against Kentucky reliever Sean Jelly. Back on the mound less than 3 days after his tourney opening win.
The cool deal. Crowd continues to sing Sweet Caroline. Ground ball to second. Mahan to Hetty. 1 to White. 2. Riley Mahan high-stepping his way across the third base bag.
Usually I try and kind of block that out, but when the entire stadium is singing Sweet Caroline, I kind of got chills, and that was another unforgettable moment.
Oh, I heard every word. You couldn't miss it. At that moment, I thought to myself, this is going our way. This is going our way. The fans are invested, right? They were invested the whole weekend and the whole season. But at that moment, I felt like our fans were basically imposing their will on that baseball game. They were gonna do whatever they took. They were locked in every pitch. They were locked into every single pitch. And it was really clear how bad our fans wanted it. And I thought it lifted our team.
It helped lift the Wildcats to that magic moment.
On the doorstep of history.
When they did something that's never been done before at Kentucky. They won an NCAA regional championship.
Swing and a miss. A super season continues for Kentucky.
Don't think for a moment they weren't ready for it. The Wildcats had staged practice celebrations starting in the fall. And earlier that day, assistant coach Ro Fanning had told them where he would be at just the right moment when the dog pile was at its peak.
Dog pile will win championships, okay? And when we do that, we're going to do it. We're going to do it. How are we going to do it? We're going to do it well. So it looks something like this right here. A little bit of Give me a hug. Hey! Hey! That's what I'm talking about, baby. Kissing your girlfriend, dog pile.
As for the head coach, he had found a quiet spot and took it all in.
My favorite thing on the field to do is to watch our players celebrate a championship.
Yeah, so proud of you guys. So proud of you.
For the past year, they did everything we asked, and we told them that they could do this. And they've worked and they earned it. And to watch them celebrate, I was overcome with joy because in my heart they earned it and they deserved it.
So it was on to the Super Regional, where the season ended, 2 wins shy of Omaha. But the foundation is there, built by a group of young men hungry for success, playing for a coach who didn't recruit them, and had to convince them that they were better than even they believed they could be.
He looked us in the eye and he said, we're good, and we're going to win baseball games here. And that stuck with me, and it's still with me right now. I saw the way he looked at us and said that we're going to win a lot of baseball games here, and we believed him.
It would have been easy for any coach to come in and have a rebuilding year, but he wanted to win right away, and that was pretty special.
I always ask Nick, I said, whatever you're on, please go get me some of it, because I've never seen a guy that has so much energy, but he's excited, he's passionate about Kentucky baseball. So I think going forward from here, look out for Kentucky, because they could be a powerhouse for years to come in the SEC in baseball.
The foundation that this coaching staff has put into our program is just unbelievable, and it's unmatched by, I think, any other program in the nation.
There's not a place that anyone else in where I'm from would rather be than what I'm doing right now, and I'm just living that. So, I can't take it for granted, and I just gotta always remember how awesome and how lucky I am to have this.
The Wildcats truly did spend the season doing things never done before at the University of Kentucky. An incredible start to a head coaching career for a man who truly believes he's found his calling.
I feel like this is where the Lord's called me, and this is my platform. It's an honor.
Their coach is fond of saying, to be trusted is a greater compliment than to be loved. The Wildcats trusted Nick Mingione and his staff. They grew to love one another, and by doing that, they accomplished things that had never been done before in the history of Kentucky baseball.